In this episode, we could see Max lose his shit.
My head pop off.
So how are you? Let's start with that. We always start with that. Oh, hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of My Athletic Compendium. It's Max and James.
Here's Max and Jim.
How have you been?
I thought you were asking the audience then.
Well, it's an open question. How have you guys been?
Good, I hope. Yeah, I've been alright, to be fair.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
A whole lot of the usual, to be fair.
Go on.
I can't really think. I've been running, picked up a knee injury this time, because there's
Just
new one every week. Just
long distance running?
Just from long distance running.
Mm-hmm. Strain or like
Strain.
went over on it?
No, strain. It's not bad, but it's just like a niggly one.
Mm-hmm.
Dead frustrating, because I was going to go for my sub 25k this month.
I swear you've almost got that, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I'm like not far off at all.
So why don't you just push yourself a bit harder and you get there?
I can't. My knee's forked. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but
I've got my 30k coming up next week.
That's far.
That's far.
That's really
so I might do a little bit of video content for that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Your last video went good well. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Which one was that?
Your running one you did with them.
That was very good. If you guys haven't checked out our social medias, please do. Peak Athletic Performance and James Weeks RD. Again, if this is like the first episode you're watching or listening to, we recommend going back to the start so that we've kind of built it in like a step-by-step approach, haven't we? So
definitely in season one.
Definitely in season one. So you'll get the most value. It's more of like a learning curve from nutrition and exercise point of view. So take a look at that and then pause this, come back to this episode. Definitely. So what we're going to talk about today?
Opening your own PT business, which I've got so many.
Seems like a new one pops up every hour, especially on social media. Like I can see the appeal when you look at someone who's doing it really successfully and they've got loads of online clients and they're just managing them all from home, giving them simple strategies and raking in the money. What's it really like, Max?
It's
You sound deflated.
No, I'm just trying to, how do I go into this? Because I've got a lot of opinions.
Lube your way in. Go on.
Yeah, lube it up. It's a very difficult one because it's very much a popularity contest. It's all social media.
Before we dive into the crux of it and we get your proper opinion, knowing what you know now, how would you set up one? How would you go? How would you start one?
Actually. So knowing what I know now, I know not to make the mistakes that I made. I didn't make any bad mistakes or anything, but
and enlighten our listeners or viewers. What sort of mistakes?
I mean, there's a few mistakes. I always receive payment before you provide your service or give your product.
Yeah.
Always receive payment first.
Would you recommend setting up as a PT like in-house of a place, or would you start yourself off online or have an online presence, and how would you work it? Someone's got their qualifications, they want to start getting clients. What would you do?
Definitely get yourself in a popular gym, not a small independent one, and this is the one time that I think chain gyms like Pure Gyms and gym groups and whatever, JD, all that stuff, is good, because as a personal trainer business, you need as many people. You want to be in a bigger pool as possible of people, because that's where you're going to get your business fast. Like with any business, it's all about getting
clients through the door
straight away. There's no faffing around, because if you're starting off, like for example, Athlete Factory, where I work out of now, I only see probably 10 hours of clients a week at now, but if you started your business there, you would really struggle, because there's not that many members. It's not a massively busy gym. It's a really good gym, but it's not a busy one.
Yeah.
You need a lot of people.
So you got that from a bigger chain like Pure Gym?
Yes,
To
I
start
started
off
off in Pure Gym and it was really good. Like I picked up clients pretty quickly. Didn't really struggle too much in terms of like building business.
And were you building an online presence at that point, or were you just marketing yourself within that gym? Because it seems like everyone's online at the moment.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's the way forward. It's the better way of working. Like me personally, I love working from a coffee shop. Like I'll happily sit there for hours on end, working, writing programs, doing social media posts. Like I love that. Maybe it's the introvert within me. That's another thing. If you want to be a personal trainer and not an online coach, if you want to be a personal trainer and you're an introvert, don't do it.
Or push your boundaries and find a way to have comfort in other people. I recommend.
If you're wanting to improve, like to gain on floor, like gym floor clients, you have to be comfortable with going up to strangers and not doing a hard sell. Like I've never hard sold anything. I've always like offered help, offered some kind of free service, whether that I'd never do like free sessions necessarily, but like I'd always offer like, oh, I'm going to do like a testing day for members. Like this is a really good idea, by the way. I'm going to do a testing day for members where they can test their 3 rep maxes, where I'll, spot you. We can record it. We can have a little look at your technique, and then you can go on your way completely free, and then offer a service based off the back of that. That's a really good idea to like get people to get like those first few points of contact.
Yeah.
So that's like a basic thing when it comes to selling a service is your points of contact and making sure that they're all positive. So your first point of contact would be going up to them, saying hi, I'm Max, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Point of contact 1. Point of contact 2, you're kind of getting to know them a little bit more and offering like and giving them something for free. And then the third point of contact should be your kind of like pitch a little bit.
From everything that I've seen in business so far, it's not just in personal training, but it's being personable. It's giving away value for nothing, so that people don't want to be sold to at the end of the day, and they buy what they want, not what they need. And so if you're going to someone and you're supporting them and helping them without them spending a penny or taking up too much of their time, then you're providing that value, and they're much more likely to see that value and go, well, I've gained value from that person for nothing, and actually it served me well. Therefore, I'm much more likely to go back to that same person for repeat business. Because at the end of the day, there's a difference between a customer and a client. And at the end of the day, with a PT business, you want clients. You want people to keep coming back month on month. So you've established yourself in a good gym, a good big gym. You're meeting people on the floor. Then what are you doing?
Well, to be fair, I've kind of missed a step really, which is the actual how to become a PT, which is the qualification that you need. Because it is a legal requirement that you have a level 3 personal training qualification.
So is level 3 like your entry level?
Yeah, you got. I don't even know what level 1 is, to be fair.
Right. Okay.
I don't actually know what level 1 is. Level 2 is a gym instructor, which basically means you can run classes and you can just generally upkeep the gym in terms of equipment and whatever. And then level 3 is personal training. Level 4, I think, strength and conditioning or something. But to be honest, the strength and conditioning qualifications in that like personal training route is waffle waste of time. To be honest, level 3, like, because they're all online courses, or if you're doing it in person, they're always crash courses. They're always sold as like fast track crash course, blah blah blah, where you can get it done in like 6 weeks or whatever. I'm not being funny, but you cannot learn enough in 6 weeks at all, and they're always really, really terrible courses as well. Like you don't learn enough. They don't teach you enough, and it creates really, really bad coaches who coach people. And bearing in mind, you're responsible for this person. So say you have someone who's got scoliosis, right? You don't learn anything about scoliosis. Scoliosis, by the way, is like a curvature in your spine that's not natural. Like you've got a normal curve in your spine, but this one's like more like a satchel laterally, which obviously comes to issue if you're loading up the spine quite a lot, like quite significantly. But yeah, you can have a client who has scoliosis and you might not think of anything of it or not know what it is as a coach, and you can be putting them at risk of injuring themselves, and that's just one example of infinite. You're responsible for that person and you just don't learn enough. I was fortunate enough to always have an interest in sport and performance and whatever, so I've just like naturally got that knowledge from somewhere, but I've also got my degree in sport and health science, I've got my strength and conditioning qualification, I've obviously done the personal training one, I've got an interest in it.
So those qualifications that you have to become a PT isn't necessary.
No.
You only need to do the level 3
This crash course, which you can do in 6 weeks.
And are there any that you'd recommend? Any specifically?
To be honest, I've
We're
not
not sponsored, by the way.
No. I don't think the company that I did it through, I don't think it even exists anymore.
Right.
It was called Global Dro. No, what was it?
Global Gym.
No, Global Dro. I can't remember. It was the gold standard at the time, which was just something that they advertised.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually legit. They're all the same. They're all the
So
same.
this level 3 isn't like a protected kind of thing
I
where
think it's a legal thing you
know,
have
like,
to have.
to be a dietitian, I have to have gone to university and done a nutrition and dietetics degree.
Yeah.
But to become a PT,
It's just this course.
it's just a course that says you get accredited in level 3.
Yeah, it is like a thing, like a legal thing that you have to have. And then you also have to have a first aid or something like that.
And is that part of the course?
I don't think it is.
No.
I can't remember. Bearing in mind it was like 2018 that I did it.
I would have thought that
remember.
if you're working in a big corporation gym, like you've recommended to start off with, you'd be doing health and safety courses anyway.
Yeah, they do make you do them anyway. I think that's what happened with me.
And how much does one of these level 3 courses cost you? How much did it cost you?
I think it was 1,200
1,200 for like a 6-week course.
for a 6-week course, which was mine was all online. I remember I started the course, and then not too long after was when I shattered my collarbone. That was it.
Right.
I shattered my collarbone, so I was in a sling, and I was trying to do the course in my sling, which was fine because it was online. But then there was certain elements where you have to record yourself, or like do a live stream or something with someone watching you, assessing you coach someone, which was obviously an absolute nightmare with one arm, but that goes to show how doable it is.
Right.
Like, it is.
So the level of requirement to actually pass these courses is pretty low.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, like if you know like nothing about it and it's just something that you've wanted to do because you hate the job you're in, it's not easy in a sense that like, you know, you still have to learn anatomy, you still have to learn like basic movements and stuff like that, and how to do like posture correction and stuff, but it's not like easy in a sense that anyone can just go and do it in 6 weeks. Like you might have to graft, but if you are interested in sport and stuff, it's dead easy, but it still doesn't teach you enough to be responsible for a person.
Right. So you've got the education side of it. You've now got your qualification.
Yeah.
You've gone and got a job at a bigger corporation.
Gym, yeah.
Do you have like private liability insurance?
You bloody should do.
So you do.
Yeah. I've got insurance for them and myself, which I again 100% recommend you do. I think it's that you can get different types where it'll cover the person you're coaching, but definitely get one that covers you, especially if you're a sports person. But to be honest, even if you're not and you're just a gym goer, there's a chance you can get injured.
Oh, I see. As in sort of work cover you've got yourself. If you get injured, your wages are covered.
Yeah.
Your income is covered.
Your income is covered.
But I meant for the purpose of whatever you recommend gets someone injured and they try and sue you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've got insurance for that,
covers
have you?
that as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and you do like waivers and stuff. So when people sign up, you say like that basically
it's your fault.
Yeah. Peak athletic performance is not responsible for any injuries that you may incur during your programming and training. Yes.
So you've got your liability insurance, you've got your qualifications, you're in a gym. So are you building up clients on the floor?
Yeah, and the good thing again, the good thing by going to like a bigger gym is that they, as part of your, so you can either pay rent to use the facility, which is 9 times out of 10 in the northwest of England is about 500 quid a month, which is extortionate, to be honest. Like regardless whether you're full time or not. But anyway, or you can work hours for the gym, which covers that rent, which is a good thing to do definitely when you start, because A, it keeps your costs down, but also gets you on the gym floor more, and also like most of the time you'll be running a class or 2 on your shift, which obviously gets you more exposure to members. They get to know you a little bit better. You can liaise with them, so you've got those points of contact straight away to multiple people.
That sounds really positive, because where else would you get that?
Yeah.
Where else would you get access to 20 to 30 people that you're pushing them and you're tailoring their needs?
You're coaching them.
Yeah, especially on like a spin class, you can tell when someone is not working hard enough, and you can tell them to push it, and they might enjoy that, they might not, but
it's about like, it's very much, it's challenging running classes, because you do get a mixture of people. Like you get some super duper fit people, and then you get someone who's never been in a gym before, so you have got to contrast how you approach those classes. You do have to try and have a bit of a one size fits all, but in a way that's everyone can do it, and it's going to be challenging for everyone that does it. But yeah, that's a really good like point of contact as what because it shows what you're like as a coach and what you're like as a person.
When would you, because you do a lot online now, at what point would you have felt comfortable transitioning from you're mainly like a in-house PT versus now you are your own business rather than just a PT at Pure Gym? You're your own business, and you've got clients not just from Pure Gym but from elsewhere, and you're online. Like, would you say that's a year, 2 years?
I think it completely depends on where you're coming from. I was fortunate enough to be a semi-decent rugby player going into this, so I knew a lot of rugby players, and I did kind of push myself more as a strength and conditioning coach. So I already kind of went into it like people knowing that I'm somewhat decent at rugby, and can help people with their strength and conditioning. So I kind of went into it quite quickly as being like people kind of knowing that I'm that guy. Do you know what I mean?
You found your niche.
I found my niche quite quickly, but that's another thing that I was going to suggest to people listening is one mistake that I made, which I really, really regret doing, is when you first start as a business, have a niche and stick to it. Because at the beginning, it's so easy, unless obviously you are tailored more towards your general population and your fat loss, because obviously that's the majority of people who are going to want a PT. But me as a strength and conditioning coach, when I first started as a business, I just wanted income. Right, that's a sensible decision. But the not the problem with that, but the difficulty is you don't want to build your brand and people looking in at who you're coaching as being something that you don't want to be. Because if you're like, for example, myself as a strength and conditioning coach, and you're coaching someone who's an older person, or someone who's wanting to lose a little bit of weight, it's not aligned. And so you go and offer yourself as a strength and conditioning coach, and then people will see.
So find your niche that aligns with your values and what you really. Ultimately, it's what you want to coach, isn't it? Everybody wants, if whoever runs a business has their ideal client of who they want to work with, and if that doesn't align with your vision, well, then it's not going to be fulfilling to you.
It's not going to be fulfilling as well, but it's the outside eye as well, because if on the flip side, me as a strength and conditioning coach, if I'm coaching my mixed martial artist who's 6'2", hard as nails, and throwing medicine balls around and grunting, someone who's just come into the gym for the first time, who's a little bit nervous but wants a coach to help they'll see me and they'll be like, I'm not having him coach me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So like it's the outside eye, it's what you get fulfillment out of. So yes, there's an element of you need to pick up business, but have your business sort of aim and the people you want to coach, and have that as your focus.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. You see, well, using online coaches as an example, but if you're a if you're a power lifter, well, you're not going to be teaching someone CrossFit just because, or weightlifting, for example, because that's not in your niche. And if someone looks at you as a coach or sees everyone else that you're training as weightlifting and doing snatches and cleans and they're skinny as a beanpole, but you advertise yourself as a power lifter, or someone who wants to be able to squat 300 kilos is going to look at you and say, well, actually your business or what you're coaching doesn't align. But if everyone that you're training is able to squat 300 kilos, you go, well, he's the guy to go to.
He's the guy, yeah, exactly.
Or girl to go to.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I can see that, but I can also see it from the flip side when you're starting out and we all need money and you need income.
Yeah.
So
which was like what I did, and it took me a very long time to kind of transition.
Yeah.
I think moving to Athlete Factory from Pure Gym definitely helped.
Yeah.
But it does take a long time to transition, and that was kind of like, again, I'm not going to call it a mistake necessarily. I look back and think it's a mistake, but I know that at the time it was the right thing to do.
That's all part of business, isn't it? You're learning as you go. You didn't know that until you can look back and reflect on it.
Yeah, and it's normal to make those kind of mistakes, but that's fortunately a good mistake to have. It's not like I was going in massive debt, going into savings because I couldn't get enough clients. It was a good problem to have clients, but not necessarily the ones that I wanted.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing of gaining clients and gaining exposure through social media. You're able to reach more people, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then the clients that you actually want to work with, when you've got such an influx of people wanting to work with you, you can pick and choose who you want to work with.
Yeah, which is where I wanted to go. Like there's so many points, we might have to do 2 parts. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we can always do an extended version. We're always trying to keep these episodes to 30 minutes, but I feel like we can have a long one today. Let's have a go.
Which was going to go on to something that I've got to be really careful not to rant about, which is popularity. Because
in the online presence, you mean, or
not even just in the online presence thing, but just popularity as a whole. Unfortunately, because it's so easy to get a qualification, you can get really bad coaches. But if they've got a massive following through one reason or another, they can be a horrible. And I'm saying this because it's true and they exist. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I mean you've got to speak honestly. Yeah.
It's a horrible industry in terms of you can have a shit ton of followers.
Yeah.
Give out false information. It's not like monitored at all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you see it whether it's online or not. Like I know coaches now who, frankly, they do dangerous things. It's dangerous and it's affecting people's lives in a very, very negative way. Because they're giving false information, which whether they believe is correct or not, like I'm not necessarily blaming them because the industry is messed up in terms of the information that's out there, but it's dangerous. But because they've got such a big following or is known in the area, they're getting all the clients, and it's insane.
Yeah.
And it's very, very frustrating as a self-employed person, because
especially when I know your caliber, and I know when I see some PTs that are getting lots of clients, and they're getting, because they've also got lots of clients, they're getting lots of testimonials from clients, which implies that they're doing good things. But you're right, sometimes it's unsafe. And just using meal plans for an example, I see lots of PTs giving out meal plans, and when I've actually dived into what they are, they'll achieve the result. They'll give you the weight loss that you're looking for, but in doing so, you are so nutritionally compromised because you're not getting all the micronutrients that you need. They're focusing so much on protein and carbohydrates and limiting fats that you're not even accounting for, all the micronutrients that your body needs to thrive. And then people see this and they'll follow it for 6 weeks. They'll get the outcome that they want, but they'll continue it because they'll think it's giving me the result, and that's when the issue arises. But knowing your caliber and then seeing what they're getting and how, again, I don't want to sound bitter, but what you should be, or the amount of clients that you should have, it is frustrating, and it is a popularity contest, isn't it? I frequently see good-looking girls on social media that suddenly now want to become PTs because they've gotten to the gym a year ago. They've got a massive following of 15k followers. And now everyone goes, oh, you've got into the gym, you look really good, even though they've always had a good body and never really have gymmed apart from a year ago. Now all of a sudden they're PTs.
Yeah, and they know nothing.
And they're also giving out, from my point of view, someone who's studied, I've studied nutrition for 5 years, worked with individuals through all different dietary issues for 4 years now. So that's 9 years in total, and I'm seeing these people that have done a 6-week course and they're giving people nutrition advice, and it's just bonkers.
Yeah,
it is bonkers.
Yeah,
but nobody else knows different, do they? Yeah. Because they follow them because they look good.
Yeah,
and then now they're providing a service, and people want that. But
this is why the industry's so messed up and terrible, to be honest.
You don't sound too positive on it.
It's difficult. I think I've kind of, because I've gone through my strength and conditioning route, which I'm massively grateful for because it's something that's not quite as toxic and not quite as misinformed. If I was a fat loss coach or just a general population coach, to be fair, I would be, or a nutrition coach as well, I would be so frustrated I'd be so stressed all the time because you can have all the clients in the world, you can have the happiest business in the world, but I'd still be really frustrated and angry at the industry. And I still am, I'm not even really anything to do with it. I keep myself away from it because I am strength and conditioning. Lauren laughs at me because I absolutely detest it. It's so petty, but I hate it when people call me a personal trainer or a PT. Yeah. I detest it because I feel
because
I'm
you don't want to be associated. It's when people call me a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And I've got nothing against those nutritionists that have actually gone through the relevant training.
Like Lauren.
Yeah. So, you can become a nutritionist through going to university. That is an option. But because it's not a protected title, you can call yourself a nutritionist by going on a week course. And that's the differentiating factor, is there's people that are doing that are giving the advice because they've got a big following because they look good and people are following them, but not listening to the correct advice from people that have actually got the knowledge behind it and that are going to give safe and accurate information. If you get a meal plan from me, or if you got a meal plan from Lauren, I know she does them for her triathletes, they are researched. They're the micronutrients are looked at. PTs are just looking for a quick sale, aren't they? It's a generic meal plan that will slightly be tweaked to make sure it fits your needs, but it's not giving you all the micronutrients. And I'm sure there are some PTs out there that do the research and are really good, but because there are so many shite ones, that I hate being called a nutritionist.
Yeah.
But
it's I'm the same. I'm a coach, or I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I'm not a PT, even though I kind of am.
Yeah.
There's no
well, you are. You are training someone on a personal level.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's almost like personal training.
Yeah, you could say that.
Could say that. Yeah.
So apart from the slight issues with
it's
if you were going to give any advice to a PT, that wants to become a PT, but really does want to do it properly, what would you advise them?
Have working hours. Just like any self-employed person or anyone who owns a business, have your working hours and make sure you can switch off. I'm better at it. I used to be horrible at it, but because ultimately most people that you coach, you'll coach them outside of a 9 to 5 working hours.
Yeah.
So so the hours, if you're doing one-to-one coaching in a gym, are pretty bad. Like you're going to be working early mornings and late evenings and probably weekends. Only after a very, very long time would you maybe whittle it down so that you're not working weekends and so you've got some kind of work routine. But even things like answering messages, doing like writing social media posts and stuff, like things come to you at the wrong time. People message you at night and when you're trying to relax.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, especially nowadays with like modern technology and shit, is you'll see your phone ping, you'll think, oh, I'd be rude not to answer it, or that's my business, I want to make sure that I'm doing it, like doing the right thing and I'm helping my clients out and so on. But they can wait. They're not going to lose a limb if they wait until you start working at 9 a.m. the next day.
It's setting boundaries, isn't it? It's saying, you can't. I will respond to you. I'm not going to ignore you.
Yeah.
But, and I am contactable on XYZ platforms. But I value my own time as well, and you need to respect that boundary.
Yeah.
If we're going to be, working together, you can't ring me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Or if I don't respond within the hour, don't get the hump because I might be working with somebody else.
Yeah.
I will get back to you. It's that mutual respect, isn't it?
100%. And it's respect for yourself as well. Because it will burn you out. Like being self-employed, being a business owner, whatever, it's hard work. But the last thing you should do, and this is something that I felt bad for, is initially I just worked all the time. I was answering messages at whatever time. I didn't have any time of just like business can park for a minute.
Yeah.
Just me time where I can chill out. I'm always thinking about it. And then I went through a position of transitioning, of being like, I can't keep doing this. I've got to have some kind of, line in the sand where I'm like, okay, now's my time to relax. But then I went through a phase of guilt.
Yeah.
Of like feeling guilty of like,
or you're charging someone. You're taking someone's money.
Or if I've got a particular goal, like how I had a goal of like whittling down my one-to-one coaching hours and then building my online side of things. So while I was going through that transition, but also respecting my own hours, I was thinking like, well, I could be doing like social media posts or looking at analytics or whatever. And feeling guilty, even though I was just like doing like any human, having time for myself, and that's definitely something that I'd, have straight away. Again, when you first start as a PT, you take your clients whenever they can do because that's the natural thing to do. And I'm not saying not to do that at all, but when you do start getting, a little bit busier and stuff, 100% have those rigid.
Well, I think, if it's your first ever couple of clients and you're saying, no, I'm not doing that, well, then you're limiting yourself.
A bit silly. Yeah.
But like you said, when you do get those clients and they are messaging you at 10 at night or 11 at night, you need to set those boundaries.
It can wait until the next day.
From a nutrition point of view, some advice I would give to any PTs is, yes, you might have done a 6-week nutrition course, but really get to know sports nutrition, educate yourself. As you said, the courses aren't enough to teach you about how to educate someone or train someone for, in exercise. So why would you think that 7 or 6 week nutrition course is enough? It's really not. You can learn about the macros, you can learn about, energy calculations and things like that, but you really need to understand, we eat food at the end of the day. We don't eat protein, we don't eat carbs, we don't eat fat, we eat food. And making sure we're aware of how that can influence an athletic performance and optimize recovery is so important. So, educate yourself following on, and I'm sure PTs do, but it just seems sometimes you look out there and you're like, what you how can you be given that advice? It's almost like unconscious incompetence, isn't it? Where they're not even aware of what they're advising is wrong because they think it's right.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling. Any other advice you'd give to someone starting out that wants to do it properly?
Enjoy it. Like I do love it. I've complained quite a lot in this episode
I
because
think
I do like complaining. Like that's part of my personality.
You are a moaner.
I love it, but but it is good. Like it's such a good thing, like a business to do, because it's relatively easy. In terms of like the costs are dead low, so you're never going to break the bank significantly if it doesn't go well.
Mm-hmm. You're not heavily investing in stock and things like that.
Like you should go into it just thinking the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't pull up, like kick off as fast as you were hoping. It's not working out. You go and find something else to do
in the meantime whilst you're building it.
Yeah, and if you want to pack it in, you can pack it in, but it's never going to be heartbreaking. Or you can carry on doing it on the side as a bit of a side hustle.
That might even be a good way to get into it. That way you're not relying on one source of income, and you're that way you can lay your boundaries and say, look, this is my time, this is your time.
It does kind of like depend where you're coming from. Obviously, like if you're in a career, then obviously yes, you can build your clients up like around your working hours and stuff. But if you're a student straight out of university living with your parents, like go full send. Do you know what I mean? Because then if you're spending all your time, or most of your time on that business, then it's going to grow faster, obviously. But
absolutely.
So it does depend where you're coming from, but it is a sick job. When you find your niche and you've got the clients that you really love coaching, it's wicked. It's really good.
I think looking at it from an outsider point of view, and I can see why it's so appealing to so many people, because you are adding value to someone's life. You are quite often changing their life because they're in a position where they want to get from A to B, and you're the mediator. You're helping them. It's you. They're coming to you. You're giving value. It's very fulfilling and very rewarding. But you've got to do it right. Let's get some good PTs out there. Change the word of like nutritionist and give some good advice. Educate yourself. There's so much free information out there.
And goes to show, and another thing is, if you are listening to this and you do want to become a nutritionist or a dietitian or a personal trainer or a coach or whatever you want to call yourself, that's somewhat to do with what we do, messages like, I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk about like how to become a dietitian, or at the moment I work full time in the NHS, but I do have my own business. If you want to talk about how those steps, how you get into that, I know some dietitians that have transitioned into personal training, and that's absolutely fine. Message us if you need us, or drop us a message on YouTube and we'll reply on the comments. Cool. Should we sign off there?
I think that's a good episode.
That's a long episode.
Long one.
My mouth is dry. Arrivederci, and
Bye-bye.
see you next week.